Now, Carl Larry joins us. He's the president of Oil Outlooks and Opinions. He's also the former vice president at Credit Suisse Energy and City Energy. Now, as someone who follows the oil industry closely, he says the only consistency he's seeing is a lack of consistency. Carl Larry, good to have you with us on Bloomberg. What do you mean by that lack of consistency? By whom?
Well, we're not seeing the solid numbers back and forth. I think what we are seeing is that there is a consistent problem, but there's no consistent solution. And I think therein lies the biggest problem. We don't know what's going to happen from here on in. Just more problems.
All right, more problems for BP and more problems for everyone living around the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, sure. I think one of the most disturbing things that you've seen already is that BP's making their total at $2 billion claimed already. And here we are just barely over 2 months into it, and $2 billion already gone. So we can assume that with half the claims already taken and, at least half more ready to go, that this is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger.
So what about the actual people who are investing in, let's say, BP? I mean, is there a disconnect between what we see from traders in London and what we're seeing here in the United States?
Well, I think so. I think people understand that BP is a very solid company, and that's internationally it's going to be a very strong company. That's not a doubt. But I think the liability that you're seeing here in America, I think people are underestimating that. And so, as we go forward, that money is just going to keep increasing. The risk is going to keep getting bigger, and their stock will probably get a lot lower.
Now, you heard about Tony Hayward canceling his appearance at an oil conference in London after those photos surfaced of him sailing in that cow's yacht race. I mean, what's the future for Tony Hayward? Who's going to run BP?
I think that BP is going to have to look at somebody else just for a standpoint of showing good faith and showing a lot more support for somebody and that company. Right now, he's not doing too much, and he's not doing a good job of actually representing BP right here. And
what about BP's future as a financially viable company? I mean, are they going to have to be borrowing a lot more money? I mean, you say they've already looked at $2 billion worth of claims. The total amount for that escrow fund is $20 billion.
That's right, and I think at some point they're going to have to figure out, or at least I think you're starting to hear rumblings from Congress that number is going to be a lot smaller than we thought, and the actual fund, and we're going to have to start seeing that get padded as we go forward. So we'll have to see something from BP, we'll have to see something from Congress, and we'll have to see something from money, bottom line.
And what about the government's response from the United States? I mean, is this something that the government is going to be pushing on BP? I mean, they've already got this $20 billion escrow fund. What more do you think they can do?
I think they're going to have to actually pad that fund a little bit more. I think we're going to see more money committed to that fund sooner than later, and I would assume within the next month or so. And until we actually see some kind of containment, some real success story here on stopping that gushing, it's just going to get worse.
Do you think that the 2 relief wells that are being drilled, is that technically going to work?
Technically, yes. Realistically, probably not. I mean, to find a well with a drill and tap reserves in that area, in that deep Gulf water, takes a lot of effort, a lot of work. So trying to find relief wells and actually pinpoint them to stop this oil, it's going to be really tougher, I think, than a lot of people think.
And what about investing in oil companies right now? Are there bargains?
I think there are bargains. I think that this is actually probably shining a bad light on oil sector right now, but an oil company that's diversified, that has refineries, that has oil production, and maybe some natural gas in there, that's where you want to look, and that's where you want to invest.
And what kind of companies? What, ConocoPhillips, for example?
ConocoPhillips is a great one. Occidental is a very good one. Exxon is always a blue chip, and it's actually probably a good value right here, right now.
All right. I want to thank you very much, Carl Larry, coming to us from Oil Outlooks and Opinions, sharing your insight on what's happening in the gusher in the Gulf of Mexico.